I'll never forget that last night in the village. I watched from the shadows as the villagers gathered, their eyes glinting with hate. They were chanting, "The Kanyes must go!" Their anger filled the air like a storm brewing, and I felt a pit forming in my stomach. The Kanye family lived on the outskirts. Amina, the daughter, was beautiful and carefree. But our village had always hated her family. They believed her father had once angered the spirits, bringing misfortune upon us. Even as children, we were told to stay away from them. Those stories were like poison spreading through our hearts. But I was different. I had always been drawn to Amina. Her laughter felt like sunshine in a dark place. When I heard she was set to marry Prince Kofi, the excitement mixed with my growing dread. How could our village let that happen, I thought. As the days passed, whispers turned to shouts of anger. On that fateful night, I crept closer to the gathering. The crowd buzzed with anger and fear. If she marries the prince, we will lose our honor. The Kanyes must pay. They waved sticks and stones, furious faces illuminated by flickering torches. I couldn't move. I wanted to scream for Amina to hide, but I was too scared. Suddenly, her father stepped outside, his hands raised, begging, "Please, we mean no harm." But the crowd screamed louder. "You brought this upon us!" Then Amina burst through the door, her face pale with fear. "Stop, please," she cried. The rage of the crowd seemed to freeze for just a moment, but then a rock flew through the air, hitting her father on the head. The scream that followed cut me deep. It was agony mixed with horror, and I felt cold sweat run down my back. In that moment, Prince Kofi arrived on his horse, ready to challenge the mob. The sight of him made my heart race. The prince stood tall, sword in hand, and demanded to know what was happening. To hurt the Kanyes is to insult the crown. His voice echoed through the night. Everything changed in an instant. Amina ran to her prince, tears streaming down her face. "They want to hurt my family," she sobbed. The villagers wavered, still fueled by anger but now tinged with fear. The prince's power gave them pause. Slowly the mob dispersed, muttering curses but feeling the authority of the prince. I watched as the Kanyes were led away, still shaken but alive. The village carried on, but there was a different energy now. It wasn't just relief, it was fear of what they had almost done. Years later, as I sit in what used to be our village, I think of that night. Amina's marriage changed everything, lifting her family from scorn. But every shadow in the village feels like a ghost, a reminder of the darkness that almost consumed us all. As time went on, the changes in our village were almost magical. Amina and Prince Kofi brought prosperity and hope where there had been only despair. Our homes blossomed with gardens, villagers started new businesses, and laughter replaced whispers of hatred. But even amidst this joy, I felt an unsettling chill creeping back into the air, like a shadow that refused to fade. It began with small things. Children made fun of Amina, calling her a traitor for marrying the prince. They didn't understand that she had brought them a chance for a better life. I tried to defend her, but they pushed me aside. "You're on her side? You've chosen the Kanyes," they buzzed, their eyes narrowing with distrust. Then the village elders convened. The familiar tension filled the air once again. They spoke in low voices, casting worried glances at the palace where Amina now lived. "What will happen to us now that we depend on the Kanyes for our welfare? We must reclaim our strength." One evening, I overheard the elders plotting. They planned to confront Amina, to accuse her of abandoning her family for the prince. Their faces were grim, filled with a mix of resentment for her success and fear of losing their power. I stood frozen behind a wall, heart racing. The next night, I couldn't just watch as they marched towards the palace. A whisper in my gut told me something terrible was about to happen. I ran after them, breaking through the bushes, my breath echoing in the silence. "Wait," I gasped, but they didn't hear. Their minds were set on vengeance. When I finally reached the palace gates, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The elders shouted accusations, their voices rising in anger. "You think you are above us now, Amina? We will not bow to a traitor." I watched as Amina stepped forward, eyes wide with confusion and hurt. Just then, Prince Kofi emerged beside her. His calm presence, something I thought might quell the anger. "You misunderstand," he said. Amina has brought nothing but good to your homes. We are all one family now, part of this kingdom. But the mob only grew more furious. Family, you are not one of us anymore. They surged forward, and I felt fear grip me. I couldn't let this happen again. In a moment of reckless courage, I stepped forward. Stop! Please don't do this. Amina has fought for us. Do you want to destroy the hope we have? My voice trembled, but I kept going. Do you really want to turn back to the darkness we once knew? Suddenly the crowd froze. Some looked at each other unsure, and I could see doubt seep in. The elders exchanged glances, the flames of their anger dimming slightly as they remembered the fear that had cloaked our village for so long. But just as I thought we might turn the corner, one elder shouted, "She's a witch, a sorceress in disguise." It was a terrible accusation born from despair. The crowd raged again, chanting against her, drowning out the light of reason. Chaos erupted as people rushed forward. In that moment of panic, I saw Amina's face twist with fear. I couldn't let them hurt her. I pushed past the villagers, calling for them to stop, using every ounce of courage within me. Think of what we've built together. Don't let hatred blind you again. Some hesitated, but others pushed past me, anger and fear leading them. I felt a hand grab my shirt and pull me to the side. "Run!" one villager shouted. "Get help!" Without thinking, I ran deeper into the night, searching for the only person I trusted, the wise old woman who lived beyond the village. She was said to speak to the spirits and have the power to calm anger. I reached her hut, panting and desperate, imploring the old woman to help our village remember its spirit of unity. "They're lost. They'll hurt Amina, and it will undo everything." She nodded, eyes deep with wisdom. "The path of hatred is easy to walk, but leads to ruin. We must remind them of the light Amina has brought." With that, she prepared a charm, a simple woven thread to represent our ties to one another. Together we returned to the village. As we approached, a tense silence hung in the air. The villagers were gathered, murmuring among themselves as Amina and Kofi stood defiantly. With the charm in hand and faith in my heart, I stepped forward. "Please," I called, "look at what we've become. Amina has helped us. The spirit of our village is stronger together." I held up the charm, the colors bright against the night. A hush fell over the crowd. One by one, the villagers turned their eyes to each other. The anger began to ebb, replaced by confusion and a flicker of hope. Faces softening as they gaze upon the charm, a slowly dawning realization flickering in their eyes, lighting up the darkness of their hearts. One elder stepped forward, his brow furrowed in thought. "Perhaps we have been too quick to judge," he said, his voice trembling. "It is too easy to succumb to our fears." Another villager, a woman with tears glistening in her eyes, echoed his sentiment. "Remember when we all worked together to rebuild after the storms? We were stronger then, united. Is it not better to lift each other up rather than tear one another down?" The murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd as faces shifted from anger to contemplation. The powerful magic of collective memory began to weave itself back into the hearts of the villagers. With every step forward the old woman took, her presence radiated a calming energy. She spoke gently. "Amina is one with us now. The past cannot be changed, but our future can be shaped by our choices. We must forgive, for it is through forgiveness that we heal." I felt relief wash over me as I stood next to Amina, who was now listening intently. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but they were tears of hope. A murmur went up through the crowd again, this time filled with voices expressing regret. "We were scared," someone finally exclaimed. "We didn't want to lose what little we had left." With a loud voice, I spoke up. "There is still time. We can move forward together." Encouraged by my words, others began to step forward. A young boy, trembling but brave, approached Amina. "I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't understand." His apology broke through the walls of resentment that had built over the years. Amina knelt down to meet his gaze, her expression softening. "Thank you for speaking up. We all have to work together to create a future we can be proud of." Slowly, others began to approach. Simple gestures, embraces, and words of kindness began to flow. It was as if each apology was a drop of rain that nourished the parched soil of our village's spirit. The darkness began to recede, making way for a new dawn. The elders, gripped by a newfound understanding, began to voice their support for Amina and Kofi. You have shown us the light, and perhaps it is time for our village to change its narrative. We can still be strong, even beside the Kanyas. In that moment, the bond between us strengthened, weaving a tapestry of unity. I held tightly to the charm the old woman had given me, realizing it symbolized not just connection, but the resilience of our shared history. As night gave way to dawn, we stood together as one people. The stars faded into the light of day while the sun rose, casting a warm glow across our village. I glanced at Amina, who now stood tall, her presence radiant. Together, Kofi said, his voice firm and filled with hope, we will build a future where the past does not haunt us, but empowers us. A village united cannot be broken. And so, with hearts full of newfound hope, we vowed to honor our past, but not to be confined by it. We would cherish our lessons in the journey that had brought us to this moment. Amina and Kofi would lead us, but together we would shape the destiny of our village. And it began with small steps, and one by one, we forged ahead, crafting a story not of division, but of unity. As we moved forward, the shadows of the old fears lingered ever so slightly in the background, but they had lost their grip. It was our light, derived from compassion and solidarity, that now cast away any darkness. In this village we learned, the strength lay not in power, but in community, not in division, but in connection. We weren't just individuals anymore. We were family, rising together toward a brighter future, our charm woven from the threads of our collective spirit. As the days turned into weeks, the harmony we had forged began to take root deeply in our village. We shaped our new narrative through care and commitment, gathering under the old oak tree each month to celebrate our unity. Shadows of the past still clung to our memories, but they served as reminders, not burdens. One beautiful afternoon, as we gathered for our first festival of forgiveness, a vibrant tapestry was unfurled that depicted our journey, a blend of colors symbolizing our diverse histories, intertwining into a single beautiful story. Laughter echoed as children danced, and the aroma of shared foods wafted through the air, a testament to our renewed hope. Amina stood before the crowd, the charm that started it all hanging around her neck. This, she said, her voice strong and steady, is a representation of our bond. Together we can turn our differences into strengths and our past into a beacon that guides us forward. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the village, the elder who had once feared the change spoke up. I remember a time when our hearts were heavy with distrust, he said, but tonight I stand among friends. We have built bridges where walls once stood. The villagers cheered in agreement, their voices harmonizing in a chorus of acceptance and pride. We lit lanterns that floated gently into the evening sky, signaling our commitment to a collective future, bright and unfettered. Months passed, seasons changed, and our village thrived. When storms threatened, we stood together, turning our vulnerability into resilience. When challenges arose, we faced them as a unified front, each supporting one another through trials and triumphs. The children of our village grew up hearing the tales of their ancestors, not through the lens of fear, but as lessons of growth, understanding, and love. They played together, their laughter a testament to our shared legacy. A new generation emerged, eager to continue the work we had begun, a work of compassion that transcended mere coexistence to celebrate togetherness. Years later, I found myself telling stories of that pivotal night, surrounded by the young ones, their eyes wide with wonder. It was a gentle reminder that our journey was significant, and they would carry it forward, weaving their threads into the colorful tapestry of our village's narrative. Amina smiled beside me, her presence a silent strength. Together, we had not only changed the fate of our village, but had also set forth a legacy of love and unity that would endure through time. As the stars twinkled overhead, a soft breeze caressing our village, I knew we had truly transformed. Where fear had once ruled, hope now blossomed. United, we continue to rewrite our story, a vibrant tale of resilience, belonging, and compassion stretching into the horizon ahead. And in that moment, surrounded by my community, my family, I knew that we had not just built a future. we had created a home. Each star above shone just a little brighter, reflecting the spirit of our village. From that night forward, our story became not just a testament to change, but a beautiful beginning of hope for all who would come after us. In closing, our journey was proof that together we could craft a tapestry rich in love and kindness, one thread at a time, forever binding our hearts in a shared destiny.